What's up everyone? Welcome to another video. In this video, I will be testing and reviewing this hip adductor machine from HVO. They offer a lot of different gym equipment, and I've been interested in testing their equipment for a while. And I'm starting with this machine, which was sent to me for free to test and review, and it was selected because it's an often overlooked piece of equipment for home gyms. Without a fancy commercial gym, I've pretty much been stuck with squats, split squats, and calf raises for leg workouts, and more recently, seated leg extensions and laying leg curls. These are all pretty linear. Changing things up with the addition of adduction and abduction has been pretty cool. And now, let's get into the review. So, there's not enough room in my home gym to assemble this and test it, so we'll be pushing into the room next door. One of these days, I'm going to get rid of that couch and run the rubber gym flooring in here and make it part of the home gym. And here it is! Opening the box, everything was packaged well, and each piece was individually wrapped. The hardware kit came with all of the required tools to assemble it, but they were just basic wrenches stamped out of sheet metal. So I used my own drill, sockets, and wrenches to speed up assembly. I went by the book and followed the instructions and did not have any problems. Just throwing a plate on there and checking out the functionality and range of motion for fun, I did notice something with the abduction. Out of the box, in this range from here to here, there's no resistance. It starts here and beyond. And here's another view. There's no resistance in this range. It doesn't start lifting the weight plate on the back until after this point right here. Ideally, resistance would start here with the arms closed. And although it's not in the instructions, good news, there's an easy adjustment to fix it. Underneath the machine, there are two connecting rods that connect the weight plate to the swing arms. There's a rod end bearing at each end, which is threaded into the connecting rod and it's locked into place with a jam nut. And it's the same arrangement at both ends. Loosen the jam nuts so the rod ends can be adjusted. One has right hand threads and the other has left hand threads, and since the threads are opposite, if you rotate the connecting rod one way, it'll push the rod ends apart, making the linkage longer, and rotating it the other way will pull the rod ends together, making the linkage shorter. So I adjusted the linkage lengths to close up these arms so resistance starts immediately, and retighten all the jam nuts to lock the connecting rods into place. And this is just a one-time setup adjustment that you don't have to adjust again. Now that it's all assembled and dialed in, I'm going to use it for a few weeks and get very familiar with it. Then I'll come back and we'll get the party started with the functional review. And here we are, 1 month later. I've been using this on legs days, and it's been a great addition. Let's start off with aesthetics and quality, which I probably should have done last month right after I assembled it. Overall, it's a good looking machine. The construction, welds, and materials are all good quality. It's a solid piece of home gym equipment. I do have a few cosmetic defects in the coating, where there are chips in the paint, probably from handling or packaging and shipping. It personally doesn't bother me at all, but it may be important to you. Now let's quickly check out the overall dimensions. The height is 39 inches tall. In its longest configuration, it's 62 inches long. And in its widest configuration, it's about 67 inches wide. Now let's get into the functionality, which is simple yet powerful, starting with the seat. Yeah, I know, very exciting, but it is a nice, wide, supportive seat, measuring in at 17.5 inches. More excitingly, the backrest is adjustable with 4 positions. Rotate the spring-loaded pin to loosen it, pull it out, adjust the seat, drop it back in, and tighten it to lock it in. And the next feature while sitting is the grab handles. And the handles are a textured, grippy rubber material, which I like. They're not cheap plastic or foam like I've experienced on other home gym machines. Now let's move on to the fun stuff, the leg stuff. The leg cushions rotate freely and independently. No mechanical adjustments are needed. Rotate them out for abduction, and rotate them in for adduction. It's super easy. And the insides have rubber stoppers for when they come together during adduction. Next down the line is the foot pegs. There are 2 sets, a far set and a close set. This flexibility allows different angles for different muscle engagement and comfort. And the material is also grippy rubber like the hand grips. There is one physical adjustment. The arms need to start together for abduction, and need to start apart for adduction. And the adjustment is a lever right here on the side. Lift it up and down to lift the locking pin out of the locating hole and drop it back down into the new hole. And there are 6 different adjustment holes. Lift the lever, adjust the arms in or out, and lower the lever to lock them in place. When sitting on the machine, there's no need to get up or look around to make adjustments. Just reach down, lift the lever without any interruption, and you're good to go. And finally, let's move around to the back where we have the weight plate horns. This is the one that plates are loaded on for workout resistance. When you move your legs, you're lifting the plate. And the horn does have a nice thick rubber bushing. And it also included a spring collar for this back horn. And there are also 2 more horns for plate storage, which is great to have plates right here with the machine. The bushings don't quite fit between the bolt heads, but I've gotten equipment from other mainstream companies with no bushings at all, which is bizarre, so I'm just glad to see them present here. But they should increase the space between the bolt heads. And there's also a bolt at the end of each plate horn, and there's an included Allen wrench to remove it. I personally was not able to remove any of these screws with the included Allen wrench. They were too tight, and I was scared of stripping the heads out. I brought in my own tools and used a 6mm Allen with a socket wrench to remove them. So, out of the box, all of the horns are for Olympic plates, which have a 2-inch bore. And under the sleeve is a 1-inch post for standard plates, and there's also a 1-inch spring collar, intended for this horn back here during use. So that gets us through the functionality of the machine. Now I'll show you what I found during a month of use, and I'll also measure the resistance curve. Let's start with setup. For abduction, you just move the swing arms all the way together, and that's your starting point. It's super easy and you're ready to go. For adduction, you need to start with the swing arms out. When I adjust them out, the pin hits between holes and doesn't lock in. And when I start squeezing in together, it falls into the first hole. This limits range of motion, because when I'm all the way out mechanically, I can still go farther physically. What has worked well is adjusting it out and dropping the pin between holes. Then sit up a little to get a little more stretch, allowing it to drop into the next hole out. This allows full range of motion while exercising. On that note, I can only reach hole position number 5, which is here. But there is one more hole position, number 6, which is right here. I'm not this flexible, but taking a picture of it and throwing my protractor on it, it looks like it opens up to 150 degrees if you're up for it. Manually moving it through its maximum range of motion, since we just learned that I can't reach maximum range with my legs, the weight plate moves this high. In my experience, there's no chance of the weight plates falling off of the horn, so I personally don't use the collars. Now, let's do some tests. It's advertised with a weight capacity of 300 pounds. First, the weight horn can only hold 6 plates, which would be 270 pounds if they were all 45s, so 300 pounds is not achievable. I only have 4 45s, so I will use 35s for the last 2 plates, totaling 250 pounds. I can't get full range of motion with all these plates, so I cheated a little, but the machine is still running smooth. After that test, I did notice that there was a little bit of slop in the swing arms again, so that means something in this mechanism slightly moved or bent. Taking a look at the front mechanism, I think I see the culprit. When pushing the arms apart during abduction, this standoff pushes this plate, which pushes this connecting rod, which pushes the weight plate. There's a large cantilever load on the end of the standoff, which will cause significant bending stress. And it sure looks like it bent to me. I would probably recommend a 200-pound weight capacity. And it's not a problem with adduction, because the plate is pushing higher on the standoff, significantly reducing bending stress. What I do know is I've been using it for a month, with up to 3 plates with no issues. And I would recommend not stacking the weight horn full, which is probably not something the average lifter would do anyways. And the last thing I will test is the power curve, to see how the resistance changes through the range of motion. And shout out to Kinsey for recommending that I measure this. She has a cool garage gym review channel that I recommend checking out, and I'll put a link down in the video description. For this, I'm using a 25-pound plate because it's easy to manage and pull around without the whole machine sliding around, and it comes in at 25.33 pounds on this scale. First up is abduction, and we have 14, 18, 24, 29, 30, 28. So the resistance starts low and ramps up, reaching nominal about halfway through, and a little more at full range, which is a pretty nice power curve. And next up is adduction. With the arms all the way out, we have 14, 20, 23, 18, 12, 6. So the resistance ramps up, reaching nominal about halfway, then ramps back down. But I personally can't even stretch far enough to use it with the arms all the way out, so let's move it in a notch. And we have 15, 20, 23, 19, 15. So the trend is still similar, ramping up, peaking towards the middle, then dropping down just a little bit at the end. I don't even notice the drop at the end during workouts when my legs are wasted, but technically the resistance should be the highest at the end of the rep when the legs are together. I did ask HVO about the power curve, and they said they're actually already working on some product updates to include improvements in that area. And I think that gets us through it. To wrap up, it's an often overlooked piece of home gym equipment, and I've really enjoyed using it. It's a dual function machine, which is awesome. And it's super easy to change over between abduction and adduction, which has been awesome for supersets. I've really liked adding this to my leg days, and it's a permanent addition to my home gym. The only thing I would caution is the longevity of maxing out the weight capacity. I've personally been using it in the 100 to 150 pound range with no issues, and HVO is making continuous improvements that are being implemented in future models. And that wraps this up. As always, I hope you found it helpful. Subscribe for more how-to and review videos. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.